Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar with Mentimeter. We've had a little bit of an icebreaker here for you guys to get to know if you have ever hosted a company-wide meeting before. We have a little bit of a spread. We have some people that have hosted and kind of hosted, but also some people that have not had the chance to host a company-wide meeting yet. So I'm hoping that today with our webinar, Mentimeter for company-wide meetings, we get to, give a little bit of inspiration of how you can use Mentimeter if you have already hosted a company-wide meeting, or give you like a little bit of inspiration that you can bring back to your organization for how to make your all hands town halls and all the huge meetings a little bit more fun and interactive. This is where you guys are at today, Mentimeter for company-wide meetings webinar. And you can see that there are two of us here today. So I have the pleasure of introducing my co-host, Amelia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emilia Mentari, and I am a customer success manager here at Mentimeter. And what that means is that I help our enterprise customers get the most out of Mentimeter. So hopefully today I can give you some exciting ideas as well. I'm originally from Finland, but I'm based here in Stockholm, Sweden, where our headquarters are located. And I also added a little fun fact on this slide. So I actually prefer mashed potatoes to fries, which is a very unpopular opinion, but wanted to share that with you today.
I have to agree with your unpopular opinion, Amelia.
I'm happy to hear that.
Mashed potatoes are the way to go.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Amelia, for the intro. And who am I? I am a content marketing specialist here in Mentimeter. I own kind of Mentimeter's webinar strategy, so that is why I have you guys here today. And I also have the privilege of co-hosting our company-wide meetings here in Mentimeter. I haven't done it too many times, but a couple of times, and it's been a great time every single time. In my free time, I really love reading and baking. That's a little bit about me. And to dive into today's webinar, couple of things before we get started. So we will be trying to interact with you guys during today's webinar. So I would love for as many of you as possible to join our Menti. And the easiest way to do that, I'm going to pull up the QR code. So you should be able to just open up the camera on your phone and scan the code. And then that way you can, answer all of the questions that we have to kind of test the experience. And also you can submit questions in the Q&A or send us any comments during the webinar. That's the easiest way to interact with us. A couple of more things. So the webinar will be recorded from start to finish. And at the end of the webinar, you will also be receiving both the presentation that we have used and all of the question examples that we have shared, as well as the recording. If you have any questions, then please let us know in the Menti. And the way that you can do that is if you have Menti open on your phone, you can just open the Q&A and then you can submit a question there. And then once there are questions there will appear little thumbs up icons next to them, so you can upvote the questions that you find most relevant and that you would like to hear the answers to. So that's a little bit of the hygiene around today's webinar, but what is today's webinar actually going to cover? So at first, Amelia will walk us through a little bit of why should we care to have better company-wide meetings and why should we, increase interaction in them. All right, someone's screen isn't loading. Can you try reloading the site and seeing if that helps? Okay, I'm going to continue going until we figure out what happened there. Then Amelia will walk us through a couple of ways how you can use Mentimeter during your company-wide session. So icebreakers, and then gathering people's opinions, as well as collecting important questions. And then I'll just tell you a little bit more about Mentimeter in an organization and kind of the plans that are more suited for that. And we will wrap things up with a nice little Q&A with any questions that you may have submitted during the webinar. So that's it. I think we are ready to get started. So Amelia, why don't you take us to the next slide and tell us all about it?
Thank you, Astra. Nice. So why should we actually increase interaction in company-wide meetings? So first of all, usually your company-wide meetings are the most expensive meetings that you have. That's just because you have everyone from your company joining for that hour or however long that meeting is, and they're not able to do their regular tasks. Therefore, of course, we would also want everyone to really pay attention during those sessions, make sure that they get all the information that you're trying to present. Often you will cover the most important decisions that have been made and things like that. So it's important that everyone will actually listen and learn and understand what you're or where you're heading to and what's important, what's cooking. Of course, sometimes if you're in a meeting and it's not very interactive, it's easy to zone out a little bit. So with interaction, you can make sure that everyone is actually listening and hearing what you're saying. And then, if we actually do manage to increase interaction in these meetings, that will, of course, lead to better information retention. So people will actually remember what you have said during the meeting. And then also, it allows you to gather honest opinions from your participants to really understand how your company or employees are feeling, what's on their mind. And then also, it allows you to make better decisions because you can take everyone's perspective into account when deciding something important. Often just one department or one team doesn't have all the answers, but when you listen to everyone in your company, you will be able to make more informed decisions. Nice. So then the structure of company-wide meetings that we suggest you use is starting first with an icebreaker. So an icebreaker, of course, allows everyone to kind of ease into the meeting and start interacting with your content. Here we have prepared a couple of examples of what you can do. So we have a word cloud, which is our slide type that allows you to visualize multiple responses that your participants can submit. And then pin on image is maybe a little bit more of a fun one. You will soon see what it looks like. Nice. So word cloud. First of all, here I have an example of how are you feeling today. So this is our word cloud slide where you can just check in with everyone in your company. And this slide type allows you to see everyone's answers at once and also what are the most common feelings, for example. Now we're quite few people here today, so I'm just going to go ahead and use our test votes, which shows us what it would look like with more votes on the slide. So you can see that the bigger the word is, the more people have submitted that answer. And then we have all the new answers here on the outside corners of the word cloud. So now we can see, for example, that creative and fast are the most popular answers within the company. Nice. Then the next example I have here is our pin on image slide type. So if I go here, this is our example. So now we have a little world map here on the slide. And my question to you is, where are you from? So this is especially nice if you have a global company that you work for, and then everyone is able to really show where they're joining from. You see which countries are represented in your meeting, and so on. Of course, there are plenty of other ways you can also use the slide. You could, for example, add fun pictures of different moods and ask everyone how they are feeling.
Camelia, I just have to say, sometimes with the test roads, it gets a little bit hilarious because now it looks like we have people in the middle of the ocean. So
That
obviously,
is
it works a little bit better if we have the actual answers coming in. But yeah, super versatile, super fun question.
That is true. Although I must say that sometimes you might have real people also submitting answers in the middle of the ocean just to be funny. So, well, yeah. But nice. The next use case for the Mentimeter in company-wide meetings would be to gather honest opinions from your audience members. The three question types that I want to show you here are open-ended, multiple choice, and ranking. So with open-ended questions, you can collect input from your participants without limiting them to predefined options. Whereas with multiple choice, then you can give them a couple of answer options and allow them to choose which option they agree with the most. And then ranking allows you to, of course, rank different options in order of importance or preference or whatever it is that you want to see. But here, our first example is the open-ended question. And here, for example, I could ask, what do you wish to see in the next session? So, of course, getting feedback for your meeting is very valuable since it is an expensive meeting. So you want to make sure that it is as relevant as possible for your participants. So this way, you could gather input on what it is that your participants really would like to learn more about. Nice. Again, these are of course the test votes, so maybe not the most relevant answers to this question specifically, but you now see what it would look like if I actually had votes for this.
And Amelia, isn't it right that we can also enable some kind of profanity filters for open-ended?
That is correct. So we have a feature called profanity filter, which you can turn on in the settings for your Mentimeter account and the presentation. So if you are hosting a very big meeting and you feel that you're a little nervous, maybe someone will submit something offensive, then you can turn the profanity filter on to filter out anything offensive that someone might submit.
Yeah, it's not always nice to think that you might need to put something like that in place, but I think it's always better to be a little bit safe rather than sorry in situations like this.
Exactly. Nice. Then here, the next example I have is our multiple choice slide. And here my question would be, where would you like to go for a company offsite? So we have three options here: Paris, Rome, and Edinburgh. But of course, depending on what kind of decisions you would need to make in your company-wide meeting, you can choose different types of questions to ask. Nice. Okay, it looks like we have one vote for Rome. So with this audience, that's what we're going to go for then, I guess.
The
Awesome.
unanimous opinion.
Exactly. Now even two votes. So 100% of our audience members. Okay, never mind.
Okay, we have some pairs as well. Nice. All right, if everyone would like to submit where they would want to go, it would be just fun to see. Here in Sweden, it's been a little bit of a snowy time. So I think both Amelia and I are pretty eager to get out and
Yeah,
go somewhere else.
that's it.
Curious if other people are feeling the same or if it's just us.
I mean, Rome is probably the warmest place out of these right now, so maybe everyone agrees with us.
Yeah, I love how there's no votes for Edinburgh. It's like very low trust that there would be good weather there.
Exactly, even though it is a beautiful city as well. So nice. Perfect. Then here, the final example for this category is our ranking question type. So this is the example that I've chosen for today. What should we prioritize in Q2? And here we have 3 things that we could be working on. So more advanced templates, webinars for even more settings, and in-depth academic courses about use cases. And now your task is to decide what is the order of importance for these 3 things, which one we should focus on. Nice. Okay, now we have a couple of votes in, and it looks like more advanced templates is our most preferred option right now, followed by webinars for even more settings, and then in-depth academic courses. Perfect. So this is a really good use case for Mentimeter when you want to make decisions in your company-wide meetings, because this allows you to easily gather everyone's preferences on how they would prioritize certain tasks. It's quite rare that we have time to do everything that we want to do, and by asking a question like this, you can really make sure that you're making informed decisions and putting the effort in wherever it counts the most. Perfect. Then a way to collect important questions from your audience. So Mentimeter has a Q&A feature that allows your participants to ask questions anonymously. This is, of course, very beneficial for your participants, because often you don't dare to ask or ask questions out loud or speak out loud in a big meeting, like a company-wide meeting. You might be a little bit intimidated by who are the speakers and everyone seeing your name. So through Mentimeter, you can ask those questions anonymously without needing to worry that people or people will see that it's you who submitted that question. Of course, sometimes if you allow people to ask questions anonymously, they might submit something that is a little bit too bold that you don't want to, for example, answer or something like that. And therefore, we also have the option to moderate questions. So you can choose whether all of the questions come into the presentation directly, or if you want to go through the questions first and only allow those that are relevant to everyone to come into the presentation. Nice. So looking at the Q&A and the settings for it, this is, first of all, how you decide to allow Q&A in your presentation. So you are under the settings for the presentation, and then you can first decide if you want to allow your audience members to ask questions on all slides, like we have done here today. So people are able to submit questions throughout the presentation, even though we are only taking the questions at the end. But then there's also the option to only allow questions on Q&A slides, so you can add dedicated Q&A slides at those points of the presentation when you want to take questions, if that's your preferred approach. And here you can also decide if you want to allow your audience members to see each other's questions, which we, of course, recommend, because then people are also able to upvote those questions, and that allows you to answer the questions that are then most relevant to as many participants as possible. Nice. And then for moderating the Q&A, You can also find the settings under the settings tab, and it's just an easy toggle on and off button here. So turn on moderation. When you toggle this one on, you will get a link that you can use to go through the questions. So you can either do that yourself for your presentation, or you can have a colleague of yours going through the questions and deciding which ones are relevant and right for this forum. Nice.
All
So
right.
go ahead, Astra.
Thank you, Amelia. We are just kind of breezing through the information part of today's webinar. So I think we'll probably be able to gift you guys a couple of minutes back to your day. But yeah, essentially, Mentimeter is really the easiest to use when you have the ability to use it together with a teammate or even more teammates. For example, with this presentation today, I started off creating it, and then I invited Amelia as a collaborator to support me, review the slides, clean them up a little bit, and so on. And essentially, with our Pro and Enterprise plans, you have much more freedom to share and collaborate and kind of borrow ideas from your colleagues. With these plans as well, you can automatically add your organization's branding to all of your presentations, which is really useful when you're using Mentimeter, like not just, once in one event where you can sit down and like take a little bit of time to tinker around with the settings. But it's really nice to be able to set something that works for you all the time. With these plans as well, there's increased security, of course, and if you have above a certain number of licenses within your subscription, you also get a consultant like Amelia to support you with tailored advice for your organization. So since you will be reviewing or receiving these slides after the presentation, feel free to take a look at this. And if this sounds like something that you are interested in exploring, then you can always let us know via an email or by going to our enterprise page and submitting your interest there. In this slide as well, I have hyperlinked our plans page where you can kind of take a look at what the different plans look like and see what is best for you and your use of Mentimeter. So that's a little bit about this. And if you already know that you would be interested, if you currently don't have kind of an organization or department or team-wide subscription, but if this is something that you would like to explore, then you can actually let us know now, and someone from our team will get back to you very shortly. So you should be seeing like a form on your phone or on your other tab if you have Mentimeter open there, and you can just let us know if this is something that would be interesting for you guys or not. Otherwise, I think that we could move into the Q&A. So I will maybe leave the form up and maybe we can open the questions.
Absolutely. I also see that we have one question in the chat on the Livestorm page. So maybe I can answer that one right away already. So that question is, what is the difference between moderating questions versus participants being able to see the submitted questions? So allowing participants to see the questions would mean that if you allow the participants to see the questions, they will be able to see the questions on their own devices like you are able to do right now. So if you open the Q&A, you will be able to see other people's questions. And then that also allows you to upvote the questions to show that that is actually also a relevant question for you. Whereas if you moderate questions, only you as the moderator will see the questions when people submit questions. And then you can decide if you allow the questions to go through or not. So after the moderation stage, you can still decide if you want to allow the participants to see the questions of other participants or not. And if you don't allow it, then only you as the presenter can show the questions here, and then the participants won't be able to see them.
Perfect.
Nice. Okay, thank you. Perfect. And then the question that we have here, could you please show how to set up segmentation? I think we do have time for that, so I can maybe go ahead and escape. So I am now in the edit view of this Mentimeter presentation. And to those of you that don't know what segmentation is, it's a feature that allows you to link two multiple choice questions together. So if I now go ahead and just add a new multiple choice question here, I could, for example, ask, what is your favorite color? And then we have two options, blue and yellow. Nice. So this is just a regular multiple choice question that I have now set up. And then when I scroll down under the content tab here, I get the option segmentation. And this is where you can link the two questions together. So now I have, for example, have you hosted a company-wide meeting before here? That is also a multiple choice question. And then I can see that that question is also added here on this slide. So you just go under content tab and then scroll down to segmentation and choose the question that you want to segment for. And what this allows you to do is to see the difference or the kind of a connection between your favorite color and have you hosted a company-wide meeting before. Maybe not the best or most relevant example here, but actual relevant use cases for this could include, for example, asking people which department they work for and then how their stress levels have been, for example, to understand if different departments are more stressed or less stressed, or if you still work in a hybrid manner, checking if people are mostly working from home or mostly from the office, and then how that influences sense of belonging or stress levels or whatever you want.
And
but that's Go ahead.
Yeah, and like about segmentation, really, it's such an awesome feature, and I think that there are so many different use cases that you could use it in, like anything from company-wide meetings to like I think we have quite a lot of people using it in onboarding sessions to kind of get to know the group a little bit better. Yeah, it's really nice. So thank you for the question.
Absolutely. Yes. So marking that as answered. What is the easiest way to connect Mentimeter with PowerPoint? So basically, there are two ways to do that. You can either use our PowerPoint plugin, or you can import your PowerPoint presentation into Mentimeter. The option that offers you a bit more flexibility is if you import PowerPoint presentation into Mentimeter. So I can also show you how to do that. So if I go to the edit view here again, next to new slide, I have the option to import. So if I use this button, this allows me to just upload my PowerPoint presentation into Mentimeter, and then I'm also able to add the interactions on top of my regular PowerPoint slides. So I can, for example, enable the reactions, comments from audience, and Q&A for all of my content slides that I have in PowerPoint already. But otherwise, we also have the PowerPoint plugin, if that's enabled by your or allowed by your organization for you to add that. Then you can add Mentimeter slides in PowerPoint instead. Great question. Nice. All right. What is better of the two Q&A options in your experience? All slides or only Q&A slide? My preference would be to enable it on all slides, because if you enable it for all slides, you can still decide when you actually want to answer the questions. But this option really allows everyone to submit the questions once they arise, because sometimes if you only allow questions later on during the presentation, you might already forget what you were going to ask. So my preference would definitely be enabling it for all slides. Ostra, what do you think?
Yeah, I generally think I agree with you. I think it also depends kind of on what you want to use the Q&A for and what session you're using it in. I mean, if your session's very short and you don't maybe want people to get too distracted when you're presenting some information, then maybe it's better if it's only a Q&A slide. But really, it's very much up to the use case that you're looking for with this. But it's nice to have the option to do both. We've recently, in our company-wide meetings, have been doing this thing where we have like a couple of speakers presenting, and we try to get people to we give a little bit of a break, around a minute or so, after each speaker's sessions, to kind of get the questions in then, so that then we have like renewed focus for when the next speaker comes up and presents their topic. Because sometimes the downside with having it enabled on all slides could be that people maybe pay a little bit more attention to asking questions rather than listening to the next speakers. But yeah, depends on size of your organization, your needs, and kind of the setup that you're using in. Yeah, that's a very diplomatic answer.
But really nice points. Great. Thank you. That was actually all of the questions that we had so far. So yeah, let's maybe wait and see a little bit if we get any more questions right now.
Yes. And if not, then as we said, we've been very quick today, so we might be able to wrap up a little bit early. Let's see. In the meantime, we can wait for a few more minutes to get the questions in, but we did also... Okay, we just got a question in live stream. Amelia, would you like to take that one?
Yes. Okay. So the question is, can you share your top tips for using Mentimeter? Absolutely. I would say that the best approach is trying out all of the different features that we have. So often people are familiar with, for example, the word cloud and open-ended questions, and then always use the same ones. But I think the true power of Mentimeter is, or it really comes alive if you switch it up a little bit and use more fun options and switch it up really to ask different type of questions. And if you feel that you don't really have the creativity for that right away, we have plenty of templates available. So you can either see them when you start creating your new presentations, or you can just go to mentimeter.com/templates, and there you can just copy any of the examples that we have pre-curated for you. Those are just ready to use. Yeah, you can just create your presentations using them right away. Other than that, I would say that there are some best practices that I would recommend you to use. So first of all, like at the beginning of this session, we showed the QR code to the participants a couple of times. So that makes it easier for people to join the session. So we have a keyboard shortcut for that as well. So when I press I on my keyboard, I get this QR code here, which makes it much easier for people to join the presentation. Otherwise, we also have a slide type called instructions that you can use. So it looks exactly like this, and that allows you to make it easier for participants to join. Other than that, also I would recommend, like we mentioned earlier, start your sessions with an icebreaker, just so people have something fun to do right at the beginning or while waiting for other people to join the meeting. Those are maybe my top tips. Ostra, anything to add?
I really resonate with the kind of switching it up. I think oftentimes you can ask kind of the same question with about like 3 different question types. So as Emilia said, like to not kind of it can sometimes people can get bored if they see like the same kind of question every single time. So yeah, check if you could ask the same question with a different question type. And then something that I am actually a really big fan of doing is kind of presenting information like a question. So for example, we have our truth or lie slide type, where you can, have a couple of statements and then they are either true or false. And what we do quite a lot here in Mentimeter, I think, at least in the marketing department, I don't know about sales, Amelia, but we often use that question type to present, for example, like campaign results or results of something new that we have implemented. So I'm a big fan of that. Also, from a marketing standpoint, we often use the pin on image question type to kind of get people to guess like which version of an A/B test was the winner. That's like, the first time someone did that, I thought it was such a brilliant way of getting people engaged with the material that you're presenting. So it was super fun. Yeah. So that would be my tip. Present information through a question.
Absolutely. We often do actually use the quiz feature for that as well. So presenting something completely new that people don't actually know yet, but through a quiz, it makes it a lot more fun because people start thinking about it themselves. You're not really giving them the information first. You're just trying to figure out as a participant what could be the correct answer. And then afterwards, the presenter will tell what the correct answer is and then any background or additional information. So that just makes it a lot more fun to hear new information, especially if it's, for example, budget numbers or something like that is usually difficult to remember otherwise.
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a snooze fest otherwise. Yes. And we just had the question of like, what is pin on image? That's one of the question types that Amelia showed earlier. Maybe Amelia, you can take us back to it. Or it's
Yeah,
basically you upload a picture, any picture, and then you can have your audience place a pin on the image, for example, with a world map. Here, I think we are both, Amelia and I are also pretty big fans of using like a coffee grid or toast grid. I think it kind of alternates. So what's your ideal toast or coffee color and so on. Yeah, and I have also throughout the webinar, I've been sending some links in the live stream chat, which you will also get after the webinar. So I sent a bit earlier kind of a step-by-step guide of the pin on image question type.
absolutely.
So you
And
should find all the
if you
answers there.
haven't used this before, it's one of our advanced question types. So in order to use it, you just need to go to add new slide and then scroll all the way to the bottom. And this is where you find the pin on image. So all the way down, that's where you find this slide.
Nice. All right. Let's see if we've received any more questions. Doesn't look like it. So I think we could be wrapping up the session now. We had a little question here. If you would like to let us know what you thought of today's webinar, then that is, of course, really helpful for us. No pressure. We'll leave this up here as we say goodbye. But otherwise, yeah, I think from my side, thank you guys for joining us today. And thank you, Amelia, for walking us through so many fun question types.
Thanks, everyone, for joining. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.